Welcome everyone to the Simply Soccer podcast. We're back at it today with another important topic. Last week we talked about something I think is very important and a very foundational thing you need to kind of grasp if you ever want to succeed in anything. And we went over motivation, not only motivation in the way you probably think of it in the sense of becoming motivated, like by watching a video or something, but true genuine motivation that drives you to keep on going. It was more about passion, probably passion that allows you to stay motivated. And we talked about the difference between kind of shallow motivation and deeper motivation. We spoke about how to build motivation, like so if you don't have any right now, to find out what motivates you and then how to sustain that over the long run. So if that's something that interests you, definitely go check out that podcast. But we're right back at it, I think, with another very important topic this week. Now, before I get into that, a couple announcements. First off, another untapped potential video is up, so go check that out if you haven't already, and please support that channel by liking and sharing it and commenting on the video. That helps the channel to grow faster, and the faster it grows, obviously the more people will see it, and the more people, hopefully, we can help through those videos. Please go check it out. I'll put it in the comments and in the description. Also, another kind of update is some of you may have known that I've been having some copyright issues with the channel, which in my eyes I think are unfair because all my videos should fall under fair use. But my Harry Kane video was taken down, and I can't really do anything about it unless I want to risk getting a strike on my channel, so I'm not going to do anything about it. But what I am going to do, at least not anything about it on YouTube. What I am going to do is I'm going to be putting that, and actually it's already up. It should be already up by now. I'm going to be putting that up on a different website, a couple of different websites, and I'm going to link them down below because I don't want you to miss out on the video. It took me a lot of time to make that video, to do the research for that video, to put everything together, and I think it's a waste not to have it up somewhere. So I am going to put it up on a couple different websites where you can go view it, and in fact, make sure you sign up for those websites and follow me on those websites, simply because I'm going to start putting videos up on there that I can't put up on YouTube because of bogus copyright claims and things like that. So that's what to do. I don't want you to miss out. So if you want to see the how to play football like Harry Kane video, go up there. And I'm going to be putting other videos up on there as well to not only kind of back them up just in case anything happens to them on YouTube, but also just because, it's not cool that, people, and this is not only me, this is the first time it's happened to me. This is actually the second time it's happened to me. I had a Steven Gerrard video taken down for the same reason a while ago. But it happens to a lot of creators, people with huge followings, like millions of subs, and then people who are smaller like me with, under 100,000, where these videos are being taken down or demonetized. Because the demonetization thing is actually a whole different thing, but the takedown one is because people can just flag your video without, just anyone could. You could go to my video and claim it. Obviously I'd be able to get that removed. However, when any company can basically come to a video and claim that it's copyright, and YouTube will just go, okay, and take it down, and you can fight it, but the odds are stacked against you, meaning I have to go through a lot, and then I risk getting a strike on my channel if I lose, which just isn't worth it, even though my video is completely within the law of fair use. So the copyright system on YouTube is still broken. Don't let them fool you at all. It is still broken. It is probably better than it used to be, because it used to be ridiculous. Like, they used to just take it down and give you a strike. So at least they're not giving you a strike now. So that's what happened to the Harry Kane video. I've also had some videos demonetized as well, which means basically I don't get any money for them. And I've also had some videos copyright claimed, which doesn't mean they get taken down, but what it means is people are now making money off my videos instead of me when it gets copyright claimed. And it's the same thing where it's really stacked against me in an unfair way. And it just goes for other creators as well. So in order to combat that, in order to instead of just sitting down and rolling over, I put those videos up on a different website, and I will be continuing to put videos on these websites, so make sure you're following me there and you're checking out those videos. Okay, I just need to get that off my chest and update you guys on what's happening, and update those of you who are wondering what the hell happened to the Harry Kane video. That's what happened. And for those of you who have not had a chance to view it, go check it out. It's a good video. It took me, it takes a lot of work to make these. So, I'm not really satisfied with YouTube just taking them out. Anyway, what I want to talk about is actually related to this in a kind of way. Um, and it's essentially what I want to talk about is how to keep going and persevere even when there are setbacks in what you're doing. And this to me is relevant on so many levels because obviously not only with Simply Soccer and YouTube and trying to create this, brand, and trying to help people through it. Not only has there been many setbacks in this, but obviously in many other areas of life. And for you, probably in your soccer development, you've had certain setbacks. You've had certain things that have gotten in your way or have challenged you or have maybe even made you think about giving up. And I want to kind of cover this. So for me, this is what this whole demonetization, the adpocalypse, if you've heard of that, these bogus copyright claims, fair use not really actually being implemented on YouTube has caused me to do. Now the one thing I could have done when this happened is I could have gotten so frustrated that I said, you know what, I'm not going to upload videos for a while. Because, these videos do take a long time to make, and especially doing them every single day. I don't create them every single day. I usually do them all in the beginning of the week, but it takes a ton of work and a ton of focus and concentration and discipline to do them. So when one gets taken down in a way that I view as being very unfair, it's very, very, very frustrating, because you've put all that work into it. You've put like a lot of passion into it. Only for someone to go, yeah, we're going to take that down, even though it falls within fair use and we don't actually have any right to take it down. We are going to take it down because someone's complaining about it and we don't want to anger that person. That gets very frustrating. So one of the initial responses that usually pops into your head when these things happen is, you know what, I'm going to stop doing this. I'll give up. Now, obviously, I would never give up completely, but that was one of the thoughts that crossed my mind when I saw that it was taken down, and I fought it, but it stayed down. Like they said, no, we're going to keep this down, and I decided not to fight it again because if I fought it again, I could have gotten a copyright strike. But what I could have said and gone with is, this is bullshit, this is terrible, this is unfair, and therefore I'm going to give up and I'm just going to stop making videos for a while. That's one of the responses I could have had, when presented with this seemingly unfair problem. There are problems that we get presented with. There are issues and roadblocks we get presented with that seem unfair and may very well be unfair. And this is actually a very important part of this lesson because things that, seem unfair will happen to you. Things that are blatantly unfair and corrupt will happen to you. Not that I'm saying this is corrupt or anything, but there will be things that are actually unfair happen to you. And this is a good lesson that is still not a good excuse to give up. Because there is going to be no moment in your life where you consider giving up more when something bad happens, a roadblock is presented to you, and it's an unfair roadblock. That is going to be the moment when you feel cheated. That is going to be the moment when you want to give up the most because you're like, this is bullshit. Why would I keep doing this? This is unfair. This is, this is not even something I can control. This is something that is obviously not fair. And I'm not even saying that as an excuse. It's not fair. And, why would I continue? These are the moments where you still need to keep going. These are the moments where you need to persevere and not give up because you giving up in this moment doesn't help you. It doesn't help you at all. You have to think about this from a non-emotional standpoint. Like if I was to remove my emotions surrounding the work I put into the video and it getting taken down and me thinking that was unfair and feeling cheated, if I was to not take a step back and try and look at it emotionlessly, it would be much more easy for me to give up. But if I step back and I go, well, what does stopping creating videos for a while do to me? It hurts me. It doesn't help me. It hurts me, right? What I need to do is basically take this on the chin, swallow my pride, and keep going. And you're going to be presented with many situations where you need to do this as well. Maybe it's unfair. A coach is being unfair to you and you've analyzed it and you've taken a step back and you've removed emotions from it and you actually see, holy crap, he is being unfair to me. Maybe a teammate is, maybe, in other situations, a teacher. Again, we're removing excuses from this point. I'm not talking about you making excuses or you, thinking something's unfair because someone, doesn't like what you did or something. I'm talking about like when it actually is legitimately unfair and there's an argument for it, you still, even in that moment, have to keep going. You think professional players who are professionals now didn't have unfair things happening to them? Do you think like people who succeeded didn't have unfair things happen to them? They did, but the difference between them and other people is they didn't give up. Even when things were blatantly unfair, even when things were stacked against them, they still kept on going. And again, when you're presented with this, when you're presented with something you are convinced is unfair, that's just so against you that, is an unfair system, let's say that too, what you'll do is it will hurt even more, right? Because in a perfect world, this shouldn't be happening, right? In a fair place, this shouldn't be happening, but it is happening. That's the reality of the matter. And you have to separate that, that hypothetical perfect world where this is unfair and shouldn't happen with what's happening in your reality. And in your reality, giving up does not serve you. Giving up does not serve you, even if it's unfair. You have to think about your well-being in this situation and go, what is going to benefit me more, giving up or taking this on the chin and keep going? Now, there is also a difference. I could have just said, I'm going to take this on the chin and just keep producing videos on YouTube. But instead I said, you know what? No, I put work into this video. I'm going to put it on another website. You know what? And if I can't do that, I'll put it on my own goddamn website. I won't make any money from it. I won't monetize it, but I'm going to put it up so the people who are subscribed to me can see the video I put all this work into, and any other video that happens as well. I put the work into this. I want people to at least be able to see it. So that's even more. How can you find a way around the adversity? How can you find a way to overcome the adversity and basically make what was once a problem make a solution, right? So instead of just taking it directly on the chin, which is not the worst thing you can do sometimes, you also think of how can I turn this into a win? How can I turn this into something that actually may benefit me? How can I turn this into something where I'm still able to go through with this? And that's how I've decided to do it. In this way is put it up on a different website where I can put it up, where there isn't some unfair copyright thing. And if that doesn't work, I can always put it up on my own website. It's not monetized. So that people can still view it, right? So think about the challenges you've had in your life. Think about when the roadblocks are presented. Think about when something unfair has happened to you. What is your reaction been to that? And I know what my reaction in the past was, and my reaction has been extremely poor in the past, where I would give up, where I'd stop doing something, or I would let it affect me to the point where I wouldn't take a positive step, like, for example, in this situation, putting my video somewhere else so people can still see it. I would take a negative step. In the past, if a past version of myself was dealing with this situation, I may well have stopped making videos for a couple weeks or so because I would be so seething and angry and go, oh, what's the point? It's just going to be taken down if I make these videos, blah, 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 right? However, now I realize today, or recently I should say, that doesn't help me at all. If I do that, all it does is it hurts my YouTube channel. It hurts my following. You guys are then not getting any videos from me, so it hurts my mission of helping players get better and improve their game. It hurts me all around. And the only reason I would not be uploading videos is because my pride is stinging a little bit, and because I feel cheated a little bit. My ego is taking a hit. That's not a reason to give up. So think of this next time you're presented with an obstacle. And let's go back to just normal obstacles, like a regular problem, a regular situation. So not even one that's unfair, just one that's an obstacle. Because most obstacles you'll encounter, if you really take a step back and look at it, aren't actually unfair. They're just hard. It's just there's difficulty. There's always going to be obstacles in your way when you're trying to achieve something. There will always be people who try and bring you down, which you could say that's unfair, but honestly, that's so common. I would say that's something everyone has to go to if they want to achieve a goal. If you want to become a professional footballer, for example, or make it into a college team, you have to withstand and overcome the ridicule of people who are like, you can't do it, or the naysayers and all that stuff. That just kind of comes with the territory. So let's talk about stuff like that. You need to have these kind of reactions, your eye on the prize. You need to think of why you're doing it. Again, we talked about, actually, this kind of ties into motivation. You need to think about your motivation again, your passion. Why are you doing what you're doing? And that will help you overcome any of the obstacles or problems that get in your way. I mean, think about it. If someone's making fun of you because you have a dream of being a professional, do you think if you're reminded of your passion every single day and why you're doing it, and you remind yourself of why you're sacrificing what you're sacrificing in order to get to that goal, do you think you're going to give a crap about what that person's saying? No. But if you're not in tune with that, if you, for example, can't take that step back and see the bigger picture, you will take it seriously and it may cause you to give up. I mean, how many players do you think give up or stop working hard because someone makes fun of them? Or because a coach tells them they're not good enough? Or because someone has an opinion about them that they don't like? You know what? I'll tell you, people don't just stop working hard based on those things. Some people give up completely when those things happen. You know, some people will just stop what they're doing because someone's making fun of them, or there's a small obstacle. And in the grand scheme of things, that's a very small thing. It doesn't feel good. I mean, I still don't like it when it happens to me today, but it's like nothing. It's like a little pinch these days. Those are going to be some of the smaller obstacles. Things like not making a team are going to happen. Things like thinking you did so well in a tryout and then you not getting selected will happen. Things like losing a match you should have won. Things like missing the game-winning penalty, or hitting the penalty that lost you the game. There are going to be so many setbacks, but it's always going to be about how you react to it, how you respond. Do you give up or do you keep going? Do you work even harder now to make up for it, or to make sure it doesn't happen again? Or do you work just as hard or even less? Your reaction to setbacks is going to make or break you. It really is. Your reaction to so-called unfair things and actual unfair things are what is going to make or break you. And again, the ways to push through adversity is to keep your goals in mind and to remember why you're chasing your goals. And if you have a very strong why, like you have a really good reason, a very passionate reason for going after your goals, you'll come through adversity. You just have to keep reminding yourself of them. I mean, one thing I do, and I this is one of my probably most essential habits I do, is every morning and every night, so twice a day, I read my goals and why I'm doing, and what my purpose is, what my direction is, where I want to go. So every morning and night, I'm reminding of that. So before I start my day, my work day, I remind myself of why I'm doing what I'm doing, why I'm passionate about it, and also what my goals are. So do you think I go into the day motivated or unmotivated? Do you think I go into the day able to deal with problems and setbacks, or do you think I don't? I go into the day able to do it. My willpower is increased. My ability to resist those negative things and the obstacles improves because I'm reminding myself on a daily basis, every single day, where everything's resetting. At the beginning of the day, I'm reminding myself of why I'm doing things, which means I will push through and overcome things and obstacles and things like this, like a video getting taken down in my eyes unfairly, and I will look at those and go, I'm still going to keep going. I'm going to find ways around this. I'm going to find ways to come out on top here. I'm going to find ways to improve anyway. I'm going to find ways to make this work anyway. Because I have the vision in my head every single morning. If you're not reminding yourself, let's say for those of you listening, if one of your goals is to become a professional soccer player, or even if it's like college, or even if it's something as simple as play at a high level. So maybe you want to play on a decent youth team. If you're not reminding yourself of that goal every morning and reminding yourself of why you want to achieve that every morning, you need to start doing that right now. I'm not kidding. Start doing that. Write it down. Write down what your goal is, or your goals if you have many, your big and small, and write down why. It's not enough to just have a goal. You can't just succeed because you have a goal. Everyone has kind of a goal in the back of their head, like, yeah, I want this. Here's a great quote. It's from a book called As a Man Thinketh. It's one of the best books you can read. It's so short. It's like 25 pages. You can actually get the audiobook on YouTube if you want, As a Man Thinketh. And there's one quote, or at least I'll try. I can't remember it verbatim, but I can tell you what it was. And what it is people Everyone wants their outside circumstances to change, but most people are not willing to change themselves in order to change their outside circumstances. And the reason it's one of my most favorite quotes is because most people aren't willing to do things like write their goals down and get clear on why they want to achieve them, and then changing their internal thought processes around those goals and around their motivation and around what they do and analyze themselves, basically basically changing yourself. People aren't willing to do that. Even though the only way you change your outside circumstances, so the only way you get closer to those goals that you want, the only way you change your life is by changing your inward or internal environment. The external environment changes when you change the internal environment. That means if you're not setting goals and you're not figuring out why you want those goals and you're not doing this every day, you're not using repetition to impress these ideas on your mind and these goals into your psyche so that you always know what your goal is. If you can't, again, like I mentioned this last week, if I was to ask you, what is it you want in life? What are your goals? And you can't tell me within 10 seconds, or at least start telling me within 10 seconds, you are not clear enough on what your goals are. It's that simple. And if you can't do that, that means you are not internally trying to figure out what it is that you want. You are not changing yourself, and you are just expecting things to happen to you. And that, in my eyes, is the worst way to live. Getting a little bit on a tangent here, but in my eyes, it is the worst way. The worst thing you can do is just going, well, whatever happens, happens. Oh, it's fate. Oh, it's meant to happen this way. No, take control. You take control by taking control of your thoughts, by taking control of your goals, getting clear on them, and reading them every single day. So I'll repeat, if you are not clear on what your goals are, if you are not reading them every single morning, not only what your goal is, but why you're moving in that direction and trying to achieve that, you need to start doing that. And again, I do this morning and night. So before I go to bed, I have what I call a night routine. And a lot of you would have watched that video, where I'll do things like stretching and meditation, visualization, things of these nature. But another thing I do is I go over my goals again and my purpose. My purpose. So my direction, the direction I'm moving in, I'll go over what is my purpose in life. The purpose I've given myself, by the way. The purpose that I feel that I want to do, that I feel drawn to. And I read it every single day. I read it with emotion, with passion, and I don't even have to fake it because I am already so passionate about it, because it is my purpose, because it's what I'm drawn to do, that the passion just comes out. The emotions just come out, and I go over it. And I go over why I'm doing this. And I go over what my goals are and why I have these goals. There's never a thing like I'm throwing a goal against the wall and thinking, well, I'll just throw a bunch of goals against the wall until something sticks. No, there's an emotional attachment to each and every single one of my goals. There is a reason behind each and every single one. A very clear reason. Not an abstract reason. Not a reason where it's like, yeah, I kind of think this is the reason. This might be the reason. It may be A, B, or C. No, it's this. This is the reason. Here are the reasons this is my goal. Here are the reasons I'm trying to do this. I never try and do something unless I'm experimenting to a certain extent that I don't know why I'm doing it. I never engage in a new behavior where I'm trying to create a habit around unless I know why I'm doing it. I've done the research on it. I'm like, oh, that would be something that would add value to my life, and therefore I'm going to try it. It would add value in these ways. I'm very clear on exactly what it's going to give me, on exactly, what's going to happen if I go into it. So you need to do the same thing, or you're going to give up. It's that simple. It's much easier to give up if you're not clear on what you want. If you don't know what you want to achieve, if you don't know why you're doing something, of course you're going to give up, because you then can't call upon those reasons and go, oh yeah, that's why I'm doing this. I mean, if you're working out every day and you don't have a clear goal and you don't know why you're doing it, you're going to give up because it's hard. You're going to hit a setback. You know what that setback's going to be? It's freaking hard. It's not easy to get in shape. It's not easy to build muscle. It's not easy to eat well. So if you don't have reasons to do it, your brain's automatically going to go, why are we doing this? And you're like, I don't know why we're doing this. And then you'll quit. So you need that desire, that drive, that motivation like we went over last week. You need those reasons. If you don't have a why, if you don't have your reasons and you want to become a pro soccer player, and then I ask you, well, why do you want to become a pro soccer player? And you can't tell me your answer, I'm almost 99% sure you'll give up along the road somewhere. And I don't want you to. Again, this is not me saying I want you to or I'm going, haha, you'll give up. This is me trying to tell you, look, if you don't want to give up, you need to find a reason and a real reason, a genuine reason for why you're doing something. If you can't answer that question, you need to do some self-analysis. You need to do some inner reflection. You need to change your inward environment. Because without those reasons, without the goals and the reasons why you have the goals, nothing happens. You don't move anywhere. And trust me, like 95% of people are like this. And I don't want to speak for other people, but I'm sure you have friends. I'm sure you know adults if you are a kid. I'm sure if you are an adult, you have peers where they're directionless and they stay in place and they've been exactly the same for the last decade. And then there's always those quotes like people don't change and everyone always stays the same. And it's just not true. You can look at some of the best performers at anything and they've changed dramatically. And you know why they've changed? And I'm talking about positive change here. The reason they've changed is because they deliberately changed. They didn't just randomly change. When you see someone, and I don't know if you've ever experienced this, where you've had a friend and maybe you haven't seen them in a while and then you see them again and they're just so completely different. Like their life is like all put together. Everything's going well for them. You don't understand. That's not by accident. Never. Whether they're doing it subconsciously or consciously, they did something that allowed them to change. And they decided that they were going to change. And again, the way you do this, the way you change your external environment is by changing yourself. And how do you change yourself? You have to start internally. You have to start with the thoughts you're telling yourself. You have to start with your mindset. You have to be setting the goals and then asking yourself why you're setting the goals. Again, because, I hope this makes sense. Does it make sense that if you set a goal, but you don't have a reason for the goal, that you'll give up? How many times have you personally, you listening to this right now, set a goal and then not followed through on that goal? Think back to this. I want you to answer honestly, did you have a really good reason for going after that goal? Or did you just kind of set it and then not have a reason? Did you just kind of set it because, it would be cool to try and do this? Or you just set it because, I want to just try this out. You dabbled in it. You were dabbling in this goal. Think back. I know this has happened to me. Almost any time I set a goal without a big why attached to it, that meant something to me, that was personal to me, anytime I haven't done that, I've never followed through. At least I can't think of a time I have. Never. If I didn't have a huge why to why I run SimplySoccer, to why I create videos every single day, to why I put in so much work into this, if I didn't have a huge why, and trust me, it's a huge one. It's one that is so close to me. It fills me with so much emotion and passion that there would be no way I would quit. Now, can you see, based on me saying that and me seeing, kind of hearing the passion there, how no matter what obstacle I'm presented with, I'm not going to quit or give up? You can kind of hear it. I can feel it. So you need that level of passion. You need that level of clarity on your goals if you want to achieve them, if you ever hope to achieve them. Now, you might be able to achieve some little smaller goals without too much passion, but even on the smaller goals, you want to get clear, because the smaller goals are what lead to the big goals. The big goals are never accomplished in big spurts. They're never accomplished all at once. They're always accomplished as like the accumulation of small goals, of small daily wins. I've talked about small daily wins. The bigger goals, you get to those through your small daily wins, because you have the big goal, you reverse engineer and you go, what do I need to be doing on a daily, weekly, monthly basis in order to hit this big goal? And then every day you focus on doing that. And those small wins on a daily basis get you to that bigger goal. But again, if you don't have that strong enough why, there may be a day you miss it. You miss that small win. And then another day, and then another day, and you never recover and get back into it, and you just go right back to your old routine because your why is not strong enough. And I'll admit it, like I said last week, there have been times I've gone out of routine, but because my why is so strong, it was inevitable that I would go right back into it. Because it played at my mind. Any day that I missed something, it was torture, because in my mind I'm going, what are you doing? You're moving away from what you want to do. Whereas if you don't have a big enough why and you miss a day of a goal, you just go, it's okay, I'll get it tomorrow. That's okay, don't worry about it. You wouldn't have that same kind of emotion that's going, what are you doing? This is your life. This is what you want. This is why you're doing it. Okay? All right. So I'm going to take a step back here because I think that's everything. And I don't want anything else I say now will just be repeating myself, but I think you get the picture. So here's something you can do. I gave you kind of a little task and exercise you could do last week. I can't remember exactly what it was. I think it was, I want you to tell me what your passion is and why. Actually, I was very similar. But now you know that in order to overcome adversity over the long run, this is what you need to do. And whether it's unfair adversity in the sense that what's happening is actually unfair and isn't right and isn't even legal or whatever it will be, it doesn't matter what it is, that even if that happens, you need to overcome it. You need to take a step back and go, what is going to be better for me? Giving up or continuing to go? Or finding a way around this or finding a solution, right? I mean, there's many famous quotes that go over every problem is actually a solution in disguise or something like that, or every problem is an opportunity. You know, you can look at it as a problem or you can look at it as an opportunity. You can go, okay, I can't do this, but, what will this lead to? All right, anyway, that's what I'm going to go over. So for the exercise, just come up with, have your goals. If you have a goal right now, I want you to get so clear on it. Again, I think you did something similar last week, so here's a chance to get even more clear on it. And if you didn't do the exercise last week, here's a chance to start. Write down your goal, whatever it is, your goal, and then write as clearly as you can why. That's what you want to achieve. And here's the kicker. If you can't think of anything, you might need to change your goal. Now, sometimes that's hard to face. Sometimes maybe your goal is you want to become a pro soccer player, but you can't think of a reason why. Maybe you have the wrong goal. This is not mean to discourage you, but you need to figure out what it is you actually feel drawn to. And you'll know when you feel it. It's not something I can really explain too intellectually, but you'll feel it in your body. You'll feel the emotions. You'll feel the passion. You won't even have to explain why. I mean, you should explain why, but when you find that thing that you love and you're passionate about, you don't even need to justify it. It's just kind of like you feel it. You're just like, this is it. And you have 1,000,001 whys because it's everything to you. Okay, so I want you to, any goal you have right now, if you're trying to develop habits, for example, like if any of you are following habits, if any of you are, doing other things, I want you to write it down. And then for each one, I want you to write a very clear why. A very clear why to why you're chasing this goal, to why it's important to you, to why you need to accomplish it. Not that you want to accomplish it. Why do you need to accomplish it? We don't get what we want. We get what we need. I think that's a Tony Robbins quote. And it speaks volumes because the words you use are very powerful. When you say, I want something, everyone wants something, but not everyone is willing to put in the work to get it. But if you say, I need it, then it suddenly becomes something that you must have. It's a whole different mindset. Now it's not, oh, I want it, because I want a lot of things. Doesn't mean I'll get them. Doesn't even mean I'll try and get them. But when I need something, when I must have something, completely changes the way you approach it, okay? So write that down. You don't have to put them in the comments, but you can let me know in the comments if you want. Let me know your goals and why these are your goals. And again, guys, when you're actually writing these down, if you decided to do so, writing one sentence is not enough. Like, don't half-ass this. Let the pen hit the paper and just go crazy. Write everything down. Write your emotions about it down. Make yourself emotionally attached to your goal, because if you cannot get emotionally attached to your goal, that's where the passion comes from. And if you can't get that passion, that emotional attachment to your goal, you are going to struggle so much to achieve it. All right? Okay, so make sure you do that. That will help. And again, write these down, and I want you to read them to yourself every morning. Every morning. In fact, this might help. I have to get up to go get it. Oh, it's not down here, is it? Yeah, it's up there. Okay. Well, the thing I read is in a packet called What is My Life's Purpose? And I have it in there. And I put my goals in there and why I want to achieve it, who I need to become in order to achieve it, all these things. And you can do something similar. Kind of write out what your goals are, how you're going to do it, what your plan is. Having a plan is important, why it's important to you. And if you read these every morning and every night, it's going to start becoming embedded in your head. It's going to be something you don't even need to think about anymore. You just know what your goals are. You know why you're doing them. And the sooner you can get to that point where you just know them, the better. All right, guys. So that'll do it for this one. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to put, let's see. What did we talk? We talked about, overcoming adversity. So let's do hashtag adversity for the hashtag today. Again, if you put the hashtag in the comments, it lets me know you've watched the whole or listened to the whole podcast. I always like to identify the viewers who have watched or listened to the whole thing. It just lets me know who's kind of very serious about listening to topics that are going to help them improve and listening to things that will hopefully allow them to develop more and more. So put hashtag adversity in there. Also, if you put the hashtag that I go over in a podcast and then you have a question or a comment, I am much more likely to answer you. So that's because I want to answer, obviously, the people who are listening to this all the way and are committed before the people who are not. Okay. Also, if you have no comment or anything, just put the hashtag in the comments anyway if you've watched, just so I know. All right, guys. Thank you for listening once again. Get on that, write those goals down, write down your why statement, why you're doing them. And I will speak to you in the next podcast, or I will see you in the next video.